True.
He'd rather play a 1/1 for one that can pump rather than some value persist creature. But we are getting into the first game between these two Hall of Famers.
Yeah, let's see who's going to be on the play here. That seems quite important. And it looks like it's going to be Shi Tian who's going to go first here. So let's see here. Now, Ben has mulliganed, and the Weaselback Redcap is going to get put on the bottom. It's also
He's the star of your
only
deck.
one drop.
He's the star of your deck.
He just can't let go. Ben is thinking, and of course we know that these type of decisions are very punishing. If you make the wrong decision, even during a mulligan on an all-in aggressive deck like this, it can really punish you. And he actually ended up putting the Embercleave on the bottom of his library. He runs 3 copies of Embercleave. So unlikely to find another one, though it's not impossible.
This is also a matchup where Embercleave is not necessarily at its best. You're looking to use Embercleave against opponents who you are going faster than, and you can take advantage of that, and you just get in big chunks of damage. That said, it's better in this matchup than it would be against most mono red decks, because Shi Tian's deck has no spells outside of Light Up the Stage and Cavalcade of Calamity. He is very much all in on maximizing the power of that enchantment. For those who may not be aware, Cavalcade of Calamity is an enchantment that deals a damage to your opponent whenever you attack with a 1-power creature. So that ends up really piling up, especially if you add in Torbran, who makes that be 3 damage every single time and really just blow up your opponent if they can't interact with you.
Well, the start has to go to Shi Tian here, because if you take a look, all we've seen is a trade. Scorchbitter traded off with the Weaselback Redcap, but that left a pair of Fervent Champions, and now a pair of 10th Street Dodgers also gets added to the battlefield, and this is going to be 6 damage hitting Ben Stark, who already finds himself down to 7.
And it's not just the damage from these creatures. Ben Stark, he's playing a 3-color deck. He's got Painland, Painland, Painland here. All these shocklands are just adding up in terms of the damage they deal to him. And Lee, he's got mountains. That's it. So he has the natural advantage in terms of just having a clean mana base that won't end up causing him pain.
Yeah, that's a great point you bring up, Brian, because look, when you're building these decks, one of the things that you assume you can get away with is that extremely painful mana base, because the deck that you're designing to beat never punishes you for that. But as you can see, the 10th Street Dodgers both getting activated here. Now they're not going to be able to be blocked except for by creatures with Defender. The 2 Fervent Champions are going to come in. Those are both going to have 2 power. That means that if Ben is forced to block with both the Knight and the Inspiring Veteran, he will lose both of those as well. He can go to 1, but there's really no outs for him at this point, right?
Yeah, this is just a really tough scenario for Ben. He does have the Acclaimed Contender in his hand, looking to dig up something. But yeah, no outs. And we were saying this could be quick. It's already over.
It is. That is game number 1 going to Shi Tian. The pair of 10th Street Dodgers sitting there, and no answer for them for Stark. So what is he bringing in here? Sorin, Vengeful Bloodlord. That's a way for him to gain life and get a little bit of advantage. Curious to see if he keeps a Midnight Reaper in. It's a good source of card advantage, but it does hurt. He's taken 1 out.
Yeah, definitely a matchup that you don't necessarily have a set sideboard plan coming in.
Right. He's actually taken all 3 of them out here, Brian.
Oh, looks like one's back in.
Yeah, one of them went back. He did bring in Rotting Regisaur, it looked like. All 3 of those have come in out of the board. And now we have to see how Shi Tian lines up his deck. Has he gone a little quicker even here? Maybe just some... Oh, he took out Cavalcade of Calamity, I see. He wants all damage sources, and he's brought in 4 copies of Shock.
And the Lava Coils.
And the Lava Coils.
So he is switching up. This is going from his I'm going to race you down, basically Goldfish, like you expect to do against a Golos deck. And now he's like, all right, well, now I'm a red deck. Now I'm just going to interact with you with my burn spell, with my removal spells.
You know what else he did, Brian? He brought in the 3 Experimental Frenzy. So he's playing like the red decks that we've gotten used to for the past year and a half.
Ooh, looking at this hand, there's a red cap.
Okay.
The MVP. But the most important thing here is actually the copy of Sorin, Vengeful Bloodlord in Ben S.'s hand. Sorin, Vengeful Bloodlord is extremely powerful, both against the attrition plan of the red deck as well as against the burn plan, giving your creatures lifelink on your turn, as well as the ability to bring them back from your graveyard.
Yeah, Sorin actually gives himself lifelink as well with his +2 ability, which deals 1 damage to a player or planeswalker. And those little increments add up very, very quickly. So Fervent Champion, Scorch Spitter, no attack here from the champ. Gonna sit back on defense. And what this tells you, remember, Fervent Champion has first strike, so he had a clean attack there, but Lee sees it that he's the control deck now. He's the experimental frenzy deck post-board, and he's just gonna start using removal spells, emptying out his hand here, and then he's gonna curve up to experimental frenzy and try to win the game that way. This is a nice one, though, for Ben. He gets to flash in Blacklance Paragon, give itself lifelink, as well as Death Touch. He's going to block, but that's going to give him a 3 life point bump as well. Another Spitter, but things looking pretty good here for Shi Tian with that Experimental Frenzy coming up.
The Acclaimed Contender draw now is a little bit awkward for Ben because now he has no Knights in play. So you have to control another Knight in order to actually get the trigger of the Acclaimed Contender to go find yourself a Knight, aura, or equipment. And, you know, like we're saying, this is a matchup where Lee is taking it slow. He has that Experimental Frenzy in hand, and he knows, I don't need to burn you out. I just need to overwhelm you with cards. And, ooh, a second Embercleave.
Wow.
That was one of the cards looking at Ben's sideboard when he was making his decisions on what to keep in and take out. He chose to keep in all 3 copies of Embercleave. And he knows Lee's sideboard is 4 Shock and 4 Lava Coil. So this is a scenario that can easily come up as you just get this stranded in hand, and that's exactly what has happened.
This has not lined up well for Ben. You know, he wanted to save the 2 life last turn, so he decided to cast his 3 mana spell. That gave Shi Tian a perfect target for the Lava Coil he was looking to unload anyway. Now we're going to see Sorin, and is he going to bring back a creature? Yeah, maybe get back a Paragon. No, he's getting back a 1-drop, just the red cap.
He knows where his bread is buttered. He knows the champion. It's the red cap.
Oh, man. I'll tell you, if Ben wins this tournament, he's going to be signing Weaselback red caps for the rest of his life.
He's got to make sure, you know, you have as many opportunities for the red cap to shine on stage as possible.
Interesting for Lee here, he actually drew Lava Coil, which would give him an answer to the Weaselback red cap. But it would stifle his Experimental Frenzy for a turn. But as you said before, Brian, he's got time. He's just taking it slow. Sure, right. I'll just use up everything I can and just finish off with the Frenzy.
And now Sorin's dead, still 2 Embercleaves in hand.
Wow, this has not gone well for Ben Stark. A super rough start to the day for him. These players are both coming in at 0-1. They lost their first round, so yikes. Not the way he drew it up.
So
now,
with the Rimrock Knight, you can play Boulder Rush, you can have it exiled, and then you can still play with Frenzy in hand, because Frenzy is just you can't play cards in your hand.
That's correct. So yeah, he could just try to push through some damage. The Venerable Knight is worth getting off the battlefield here, as when it dies, it gives a counter to another Knight, so he'll have to just let that trigger go. But this is perfect for Lee. Not only has a draw lined up, but now he just gets to slam Experimental Frenzy, and we've seen what this deck can do. It's full of 1- and 2 mana spells. They can cast 2 to 3 spells per turn pretty consistently. And Ben Stark cannot be happy to see that hit the battlefield. This has just gone terribly for him. And there was even a land on top of the library for Lee.
Well, Fervent Champion does let him play Embercleave. Actually, no, it doesn't, because he only has 2 red sources.
Oh, the tournament grounds can cast it.
Right, he can cast it, but he can't cast Fervent Champion and play it, simply because he only has the 2 red sources.
Well, here we go. Get in for 6. I mean, this is a start. It was Torbrand that was on top of the library, so that's going to get stuck in Shi Tian's hand. I couldn't quite see what he had. Oh, it was Tavald, Rakish, Instigator, plus a Mountain next. And another Fervent Champion's going to hit the battlefield, and here comes a shock to kill the Venerable Knight. That's going to be game, right?
There's no Cavalcade of Calamity in his deck, but there's a Cavalcade of spells coming out this turn.
Absolutely.
Frenzy.
Bone Crusher Giants next up as well. So, hey, this is exactly how Shi Tian drew it up. This is exactly how he planned out his sideboard. You can see he made pretty quick adjustments there, and it's worked out beautifully for him. He's got Ben Stark down to 7, and Ben has really nothing going on his side.
Yeah, that Sacred Foundry, that is not going to do it. Just hard cast an Embercleave, number 2, just to say you can, and think it's over.
Yeah, super tough setup there for Ben Stark. Takes his second loss of the day, and in quick fashion as well. Shi Tian, though, rights the ship and gets things back to 1-1 with his mono red deck. Look, this was not the matchup that he built this deck for, but it looked perfect.